Hello again, everybody. It's your man Azriel the One. Before I get started in this particular video, I got to put some things out. Number one, if you like this content, I ask you please to go to the channel page and donate. Everything you need to know will be on that page. I implore you that if you like this content and you want to see more of it, if you would like to see different locales in my content, if you like to see me do different things, these things, by supporting, you can see accomplished. Also, I will put my email and my Twitter handle in this video so that if you want to, you can tweet me with topics, you could feedback with me. I enjoy the conversation. I don't want to be seen as inaccessible, so please make use of it. Now, I've started to ruminate on some things when I see black folks having these discussions regarding race, regarding politics, regarding history. And well, after doing some ruminating and studying you Negroes, I've come to some conclusions. So without further ado, here it is. Dear black people, the one thing I notice about you that is very strange and very truthful is that if you want to hide any sort of real knowledge and any sort of real understanding, put it in a book. But I'll get to that quote later. The first thing I want to bring up is your constant obsession with this thing called slavery. Look, I understand this. I share the same skin color with you too. And what's worse is that I've got different racial admixtures in my blood too. However, and I must point this out, as much as you try to play the white guilt card, it's getting a little old. Now, here's what I mean. You have slavery, you have Jim Crow, and you have today. And all sorts of terrible, terrible things happen. They do. I mean, they really do. But see, there's one common fucking denominator in all this. Things you can control and the things you can't. You can't control what happened to Jim Crow, and you couldn't control what happened during slavery. But the shit that's happening to your black ass right now, oh, you definitely can't control it. You just choose not to. See, it's messed up how you blame the white man for every fucking thing that goes wrong. But let's put things in historical context for a second. Number one, most of you keep saying the words we and in the breath of slaves. Last I checked, human beings didn't really live beyond the average median age of 75 or 77, male to female. That's the average. So unless for some reason you Negroes have discovered the fountain of youth and have not exploited it for profit yet, stop saying we, because your black ass has never spent one day in fucking irons. You have never been beaten, whipped, and chased by hounds. Wasn't you. It's your forefathers. Has nothing to do with your black ass. A lot of you motherfuckers didn't grow up during civil rights either. You know who did? People who are probably 60 plus years old. But then again, those Negroes were cut from a different cloth than most of you sad individuals today were. So I gotta reiterate, stop trying to put yourself in that category when you have never experienced it for yourself one day in your life. Number two, the fact that you keep pressing this issue about white people should feel bad, let's put this in perspective again. The average white person walking around today, like your black ass, has never lived on average past the age of 75, 77, male to female respectively. So they have never in any way have expected to have, I won't say expected, they have never, ever lived in those days. Now, who did? We could say the white folks who are 60 plus. But most of those people tend to stick to themselves. So my question to you Negroes is, why do you feel the need to play the white guilt card? But I'm going to support this a little later in the video. But I want to ask this question right now. Number two, you seem to have this woe is me card. And you seem to keep saying, I'm not an American. Well, let's look at this for a second. You were born here, yes? If you're not sure, if you have a birth certificate, I suggest that you look at the birth certificate. If you have a U.S. birth certificate, it will tell you the city and the state you were born in. If the answer to that question is you have a city and the state that you were born in, guess what? You're an American. I know you're not going to like this, but this is the truth. Now, with context to this thing, and I'm going to bridge this into something else you Negroes say. You complain about a system and how it's not meant for you. Well, let's take a look at the system. Of course, white folks have had their hands in it from the very beginning. But then I find how this system isn't for you, yet there are several successful blacks who are making it in this very system. And not many have compromised their moral position. You have Asians who are making it in this system, the Latinos who are making it in this system, the Africans that are coming from Islam-dominated North Africa making it in this system. Of course, you have, the Jews who are making it. You have the Arabs who are making it. Hell, you even have some of the Native Americans who are, for all points and purposes of this discussion, are at the bottom of the barrel with you. And yet, for some reason, you expect a handout. Let me make this perfectly clear. The world does not owe you shit. You are born and you will die. These things are certain. What is not certain is the course of your life. So while you're sitting here trying to blame a white man for not giving you a handout and claiming that the system, quote unquote, does not work for you, yet if you look at anyone else, the Asian, the Arab, the West African, the white European, and the Jew, and the Latino, they are all living proof that the system that you so quote unquote says oppresses you, and to include some American blacks in the very same system, if it obviously is working and they're able to benefit, then the problem isn't the system. The problem is you. Next, and correlating to this point, you say, well, we don't have black schools, and we don't have black this and black that. Let me tell you why your black ass doesn't have it. Because you have not built it. You Negroes expect everything to be given to you on a silver fucking platter. And to be honest with you, as a tax-paying citizen of the continental United States, as a veteran, as a father, I think this behavior is just outright disgusting. It is. Because no person in this country comes here and does not put in the work to get where they are. Doesn't happen. You have to earn your bread and butter. For some of you so-called black Christians, what does the Bible say? If a man does not work, he does not eat. See, I'm not saying that black folks don't work now. I'm not saying that. But apparently, as a collective, we're not working. Individually, we are. Because if we were working, and we were working towards a common goal at that, then we would have these things that we feel we should have. But do you know what happens? We ascribe to this black supremacist ideology, and where the white man, and you can imagine me shaking my fist angrily here, is the root of all of our fucking problems. Ruminate on that for a second. The white man is the root of your problems. But the white man doesn't make you have a bunch of kids you can't take care of. And the white man is not keeping you from marrying each other and building stable families. The white man is not stopping you from building a business. Hell, even then, the white man isn't shooting you out in the street to the same effect that you're shooting down each other. So I don't understand how the white man is stepping on your neck. Next, You sit here and you bring up this thing of white supremacy. Well, let's define that for a second. White supremacy is an ideological belief that the white race is better than all the races. So let me get this straight. Instead of fighting something that's factual or something that's tangible, you want to waste your time fighting a man about what he believes, and then you wonder why you have not accomplished anything in the 50 plus years since civil rights. This shit don't make no goddamn sense to me. You mean to tell me you want to force people to like you? The last I checked, the LGBTQ community pulls that same card. But here's the caveat. If you don't like them, okay, they're still going to go about their lives. And you Negroes are hung the fuck up on this like a coat on a hanger. Here's my thing. If you're going to waste time expecting someone to actually give a shit about you when you don't even care about yourself, and on top of which, you want a man to like you so bad that you're going to make his dislike of you, if he actually disliked you, an actual issue, is absurd. Now, most of you Negroes that are going to hear this video, you live in the continental United States. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not very comfortable with the fact that a white man might not like me very much. I'm comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with this, excuse me. However, I also realize it's his American given right and his God given right to like or dislike whomever he pleases. What that white man eats doesn't make me shit. Full stop. So I'm not grasping this concept. I'm not grasping this need to stick it to the white man because, hi, you don't like me, so I'm going to make your life a living hell. Or the other side of that argument is, I'm mad because you don't like me. You sound like the kid on the playground who wants to be friends with everybody. And he gets friends, but there's one person that doesn't like him. I think I seen this in a little cartoon back in the the late 90s called Recess. TJ Detweiler, the popular kid at school, meets the black kid that just doesn't like him. And TJ screws this up. Every chance he gets, he buys the boys brownies to share with them, and the boys are allergic to brownies. He hates paper planes. He hates all kinds of things. And no matter what TJ does, he just can't win his affection. Let me put this analogy another way. This is like the young woman who's got it set in her heart that she sees a nice, strapping young man, good looking, strong, intelligent, has got money, and she's the fat chick, slovenly, sloppy, it smells like Cheetos, and she secretly wants to be with this guy, and he's expressed, I'm just not attracted to you that way. And no matter what she does, no matter what he does, I had it right the first time. No matter what she does, she can't get him to change his mind. So she decides to become bitter and hate him, but secretly still wants him. You see where I'm going with this, black people? That's what you look like. And to be honest, it's pathetic. Have some fucking standards about yourself. Please. Look, I get it. Your obsession with this thing of white supremacy, a man's belief, It is your right to obsess over it. I'm not saying that well, I am saying you should stop doing it. But if that's what you want to continue to do in spite of it, fine, do that. But know how desperate it makes you look. Let's be clear here. If white folks don't want to like you, then they don't have to like you. Like yourself. But segueing into something else that's important, because you love to tie this concept of white supremacy into government, into things like law enforcement, policy, and all these things. Look, Negro, when you can have communities like Chicago, East New York, Brooklyn, Brownsville, Brooklyn, and all these fucking hoods and ghettos, Watts, Compton, and you have all this wild shit going on over there, and you do nothing about that, but then you complain when your black ass is getting shot, when your black ass ends up in a jail cell. I'm starting to think your priorities are really fucked up from Front Street. But let's just say, okay, you actually really do care about seeing something going different. Well, here's an idea for you. If you don't like the laws that you think are oppressing you, you know what you should do? You should probably get your hands involved in the system. Let's be clear here. The Asians do it. Well, I won't say the Africans, the Arabs, but the Asians do it. The Latinos do it. I'm pretty sure on some level, maybe not at the federal level or even at the state level, but at the city level, you have a myriad of politicians who represent the different cultural diversities that live in the common geographical area. You don't like the fact that the police are doing black folks wrong? Well, then get your black ass on the police department. That's a thought. Maybe, just maybe, if you had black cops patrolling your neighborhoods, teaching you, maybe, just maybe, you might have some of these issues decrease. Just saying. It's a thought. You don't have to follow my suggestion. I just thought I should point it out. Having said all that, you love to sit there and rail about how the Republicans are so racist. There goes me shaking my fist again. And you love the Democratic Party. Well, I got news for you dumbasses. If you paid attention to history, and this is where it comes back to, if you want to hide the truth from a Negro, put it in a book. You want to know who it really enslaved the Negro, kind of like they're enslaving your black asses today? The Democrats. Oh, but I think I said too much. Wait a minute. Let's open this up here. Did you know that the majority of the white slave owners in the South during slavery were Democrats? And by the way, they just weren't enslaving black folks. Because before this country got started, let's be real, they were enslaving American Indians, but they couldn't hold on to them. And they were enslaving other white folk who technically weren't slaves. They were indentured servants, quote unquote. And then there's you. These Democrats enslaved you. And then there were Jim Crow. And one of the most biggest racist bigots in the country's history, Bull O'Connor. If you're a student of history, you'll know that name. White Democrat. You see, anyone who studies history knows that the Democratic Party has always been maligning the interests of the Negro. And he's done a very good job of doing so these last, shall we say, 150 years. He has got you to believe in the 60s that the Republicans never gave a crap about you. But a certain factoid you should know. Because before the 1960s, guess how Negroes were voting? Republican. But of course, the liberal news outlets and media love to point out that the Republican Tea Party, which by the way are a group of racists and assholes in my opinion, they want to paint the Tea Party as the whole grand old party. The problem with the Republican Party is that they're out of touch. But then again, they're about their bottom line, which most people should be about. These liberals, this Democratic Party you love to talk about, you think is your friend, who told you you have a black president, which, by the way, Obama is not black. It's biracial. He doesn't belong to either group. They have passed legislation after legislation after legislation that's diametrically opposed to your advancement. In other words, that white liberal who you defend so lovingly, yes sir, massa, has walked up to your leg time and again, cocked it up, his leg, and pissed on you, and you actually believe that it was fucking raining outside. But what do I know? I'm a coon. I'm Sambo. I'm a sellout. Moving forward, you Negroes get mad when people bring up some simple truths about your community. And let's be clear here. You Negroes get mad when your women get... Hold that thought. I'm going to push that back for a second because something just crossed my mind. Y'all niggas need to stop talking about kings and queens and all this shit. I'm going to go on a record and make a hypothesis here. Less than 0.5% of the total Negro population here in America came from royal stock, if that. Y'all love to talk about how Kemet this and Egypt that. Let me make this perfectly clear. The majority, if not all, of the American Negroes in this country today, your black asses came off of fucking West Africa. You know, Libya, Sudan, Niger, Nigeria, Mauritania, Tunisia, Algeria, Senegal. Why, oh why, somebody tell me, please, why do these Negroes keep thinking they're Egyptian? You're not. Some of you may have some royal stock, and it's very few. You keep building yourselves up with this false fucking position of strength. Oh, we were kings and queens. If that be true, you should be fucking embarrassed. How the fuck do you go from the tip of the top where you ruled the world, you say, to being reduced to being slaves and now beggars in the street looking for handouts and crumbs because you expect your white daddy to take care of you, when you should be big boys and girls your fucking selves and take care of yourselves? I'm sorry, did I hurt your feelings? No fucks given. Damn, I done lost my train of thought. But in all seriousness, there we go. You Negroes sit here and you get mad when people quote statistics. So let's run down some of the common ones. You get mad when we say black women are the worst stewards of women of children on the planet. But you are. I have never seen a Hispanic woman, an Asian woman, or a white woman, or an Arab woman. Hell, I don't even see African women doing this. Do to their children what you do to your children. You will put your latest sexual conquest before the rearing of your children. You won't even pick a decent man to marry first before you make this man a father. And then you get mad when he leaves your black ass for a fresher piece of pussy. You know, back in the day, black folks actually had the lowest out of wedlock birth rate. I believe it was in the 1940s. But you know what also was higher in the 1940s? Black folks getting married. See how that works? Low out-of-wedlock birth rate, higher marriages. But what do I know? Maybe if you want solid and stable families, you should probably work on getting married. You should probably work on building stability. You should probably work on getting your sons fathers. Because we know damn well you're not equipped to make a man a man. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, but those are exceptions, not the rule. Let's deal with the fact, black men, that your black ass ain't working. You're spending your time living off your woman. You're in and out of fucking jail, and you're falling behind your female counterpart in education. See, black men, this is simple. You are the pillar and the guardians of your community. But see, you get mad when I say this to you, but the white man understands this. This is why his kids go to Yale and Harvard. This is why his kids have a head start in life, because he actually invests for the future for his kids. So does the Asian man. So does the Arab. But not you. Oh no, not you. It's possible for you. It's beyond any real significant possibility. Why? Because you're lazy. See, if you were more concerned with chasing money instead of chasing bitches, you would probably get ahead where you need to be. Everybody can't be LeBron James. Everybody can't be a Michael Vick. Everybody can't be Tiger Woods. But you know what you can be? You could be a banker, a lawyer, doctor, an engineer. Everybody can't be 50 Cent. But you know what you could be? A teacher. You could be a service member to your country. You could be a mom and pop store owner. Be something. It's kind of shameful when your woman has to take care of you, because in every other country in the world, and in every other society in the world, men have pride. They take care of their families. But not you. All you can do is go around fucking females, getting these girls pregnant, and then not take care of your responsibility. And then get mad when you have a fucked up life. And it's a shame because it's a cycle. The two of you fuck it up for each other, and your children are fucked. Why? Because the black woman can't pick a dick to save her life. She'll pick a dick that'll make her feel good, but she won't pick a dick that's going to stick by her to raise that baby. You, of course, are a no account straight out, who doesn't care about his future progeny, but he can procreate and not build anything for his kids. I think that's about right. You get mad when we talk about the hair weave. Black women, let me point this out to you. The hair care industry is a $10 billion a year industry. And most of that $10 billion gets spent on other people's hair. You don't see the white women doing this. And you don't see the Asians whose hair you buy doing this. And you don't see the African women doing this, because those African women who actually have long hair, the majority of it, if not all of it, is theirs. And no, it ain't dreadlocks either. If you actually cared about your community, you would stop spending this money in these places. Do you know with that kind of money, you could buy 4 or 5 books for every black child to read per summer? Do you know with that money, you could build the schools that you really want? You could build the businesses that you desire. Hell, you could send your kids to college on a full fucking ride scholarship every year. Every single black child in America could go to school with their education paid for. But you too busy trying to look good, have tight skin clothes, tight fitting clothes on, and your hair did up all nice, and you wonder why your kids languish. I don't know what to say to that. Let's talk about the fact that we as black people don't seem to understand how the law works. See, niggas get mad because you do dumb shit and get caught. Who the fuck commits a crime, videotapes it, and then puts it on World Star Hip Hop? You know, another tool of quote-unquote white supremacy, but yet it's niggas the one that are putting shit up there to embarrass themselves before the whole world. Let me be very clear with this. They're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you. And most of the time, it's you black women that are getting put out there. Just saying. I know you're not going to like this, but this is the truth. You're the one doing this to yourselves. I'm not doing this to you. You will get mad because you don't know the law. You will say it was unfair what George Zimmerman did to Trayvon Martin. The whole situation was ambiguous. But even still, if Trayvon wasn't on the form, you could always say what George. Let me just lay this out to be fair on both sides. George, true, did not have to get out the truck. He could have stayed in the truck and observed him from the truck. But at the same time, Trayvon could have went home. Trayvon could have hung up on Rachel and called his father. More importantly, Trayvon's father could have introduced him to the neighborhood so people knew who he was. There are so many different things we could go with that could have turned out this whole situation different. Okay, let's talk about Mike Brown. Mike Brown could have got his black ass on the sidewalk, especially when he knew he did something dirty, got the fuck on with his day. It wouldn't have been a whole issue if he kept his mouth shut and acted natural. But you know how you niggas do. Y'all get prideful, you think you can whoop everybody's ass, and you get mad when you get shot. If you Negroes knew the law, you wouldn't be sitting here complaining about how poor Marissa Alexander is doing 20 years in prison and trying to get a new trial when the bitch was cheating on her husband, broke back into the house, stayed overnight, got mad because a man went through the cell phone, went out to her garage, brought back in the burner, and popped the shot that could have, if she had been a worse shot, could have killed her husband or their child. If you Negroes knew the law, you would know your rights when dealing with the police. There wouldn't need to be these national fucking campaigns because you would know the law. And if you knew the law and you didn't like the law, you would fight to change it. You would honestly work on getting politicians to accurately represent you instead of complaining about how the system is biased. Well, what do I know? I'm just a coon, I'm just a Sambo, I'm just a fucking Uncle Tom, right? That's me in a fucking nutshell. I guess that's what I am. I guess that's what I am. But I gotta be honest. It is what it fucking is. Finally, if you Negroes took the time and the energy you invest in the nonsense that you invested in and did something constructive, you wouldn't have the problems that you do. If you spent less money on weaves and tennis shoes, video games, and going to the club, and got your asses in the schoolhouse, got your asses in the voting booths, you would see that. Why do you feel the need that a white man must come back and do shit for you? I'm going to be honest here. As a black man who's got some mixed ancestry, I have understood at 27 years old, if the white man has come out, has done all this shit to my forebears, and only recently in the last 10 or 15 years apologized for one incident, and has not given me anything for it, here's a news flash. He doesn't intend to. Now, you can try and get that money from him. If you get it, so be it. Good on you. But let's just be honest here. If he didn't give you the money then, he didn't give it to you 50, 60 years ago, he's probably not going to give it to you now. Instead of complaining about, well, we should get this, and the white man should acknowledge this, and he's a devil, and he's all this shit, I want you to look at your own situation. Largely, the shit that happens to black folks the most happens at the hands of another Negro. Bottom line up front. Full stop. Bullshit terminated. If you spent less time shooting each other and building each other, you'd see a change. If you spent less time fucking each other in more ways than one, and you spent more time building each other, you'd get somewhere. Let's be real here. Not everybody white likes each other. But let's be real. More often than not, they're going to build each other up before they let you see them tear themselves down. A prime example is a Jew. Each Jew may not like each other personally, but they're Jews. And before you, a Gentile, will get something from them, they'll give it to their brother first. Now, I'm not saying this to say that we shouldn't look out for one another, or we should be discriminatory about every single thing, because that's not how you make money in this world. But what I am saying is, if you put the time to build each other up, it's like, how would I say, the little toy monkeys in the barrel. If you notice, one monkey can't go somewhere by himself. But if he builds a chain and a ladder with the other monkeys, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, eventually it'll be enough of them that the first monkey can reach to the top. And as he starts to pull the man up behind him, that man pulls the man up behind him, all the way down to the last monkey on the line. Eventually, you all get somewhere. You all will. But once again, what do I know? If you took time to understand that the simple concept that Daniel Patrick Moynihan said in 1968, that the black community ain't going nowhere without a solid family structure. If you internalize this simple fucking concept, you would start to see that, number one, when you have a stronger family base, your children do better. The facts show that 1 to 6 children from single parent homes has a certain amount of setbacks that he or she's going to deal with. Now, of course, when you adjust the 82% of black births out of wedlock per capita, that's a lot of fucking kids. It's almost 3 or 4 times a white one. At least twice, less than a third of a percent from the Hispanics, who follow up behind us at 66%. And believe me, if we want to even go further, it's 10 times that of an Asian and an Arab. So that's a lot of black kids who have these issues. And guess who the ones we see out here acting tomfool? These young black teenagers. These young black kids who have no respect. They're not taught anything. The whole 9 yards. You see how this cyclical thing works? In this entire conversation, in my entire letter to you, I have pointed out that simply you have this thing of, you're not looking at yourself, but you like to point the finger. Well, remember, when you point a finger, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you. So take this and run with it. Y'all need to get your shit the fuck together. A white man is the least of your fucking problems. He is. If you look at the numbers, you want to keep your black men out of jail? Give them fathers. Because the majority of black men in jail came from single parent homes. You want your black woman to be stable? Give her a husband. You want your black man to be in the community? Then you need to teach your daughters how to be feminine. And the only way you can do that is by having a husband. Because he get that masculine energy does not have to come from mom now. Mom can operate in her natural role. You want black schools? Build them. You want black businesses? Build them. Stop looking to somebody else to give you a handout. You want to stop living in the ghetto? Get a fucking job and get your black ass out the hood. Or if you're that determined to stay in the hood, at least build it up. Shit. Get the gangbangers out your shit. Get these negative influence out your shit. But above all, understand this. Number one, a society or a culture can rise no higher than the moral imposition of its women. Number two, and more importantly, you can build a house on a solid foundation of truth, which is your bedrock of all existence, or you can build your house on the sandy beaches of excuse and bullshit. Excuses and bullshit look good and they hold up for a time. But when the storm called life rolls the fuck in, and that hurricane called dark times and disaster roll in, we see that bullshit and excuses get washed away real quick. But the truth stands forever.